Welcome to The Messy Middle with Amberly Potter, where we talk all things sobriety, healing, and spiritual transformation. Today, I'm doing something that I think probably needs to be done. I'm telling a little bit of my story, unfiltered and uncensored. And I'm going to divide this into probably three parts. Part one is the breaking point. I didn't wake up one day and decide to destroy my life, but I did wake up one day and decide to fight for it. It's really hard to know truly where to start because so much has happened. I think of my life in segments, and there's like the young Amberly who really knew nothing, and then there's the married Amberly with kids trying to be an adult, growing it as a therapist and mom, tearing my whole life apart and changing it, starting over, single mom divorced in 2018, changing my entire world, job and all. And then there's also the COVID years where like hell was absolute hell. And then there's now. So I think I'm just going to speak from the heart today. I don't have a plan really. This is off the cuff, and we're just going to see what happens. So 2020, here we are, COVID. Things are changing. No school for kids. At this time, my kids are 4 and 10. They don't have school anymore. I'm working at home doing telehealth part-time, starting to build my private practice called Amberly Potter Counseling, which is no longer in existence, and also working as a clinical supervisor at an inpatient hospital. You can imagine that during that time it was pretty hard. It was pretty stressful. And as therapists, our world blew up. Telehealth was booming. I was making great money. I was managing a hospital with a few other folks. And it was tremendously difficult. But prior to that, let's back up. I say 2020 because that's when I think things really started to take a turn into the darkness for me. Back up. 2018, been married for many years, been with this person for 12 years. We have 2 awesome kids together, beautiful home, vacations. I mean, I've been to Mexico several times, Punta Cana, all over the country. Years later, I'd go to Greece, and we'll talk about that too. But I was living what most would think was probably a dream life. I have a husband who's highly successful. We bring home great money. I'm working as a therapist in the community clinic for kids struggling in foster care. I did a lot of trauma work with those kids. Court system. I would go to the juvie and do my sessions with clients all the time. My kiddos were in jail. It was cool. I had, a great experience. But there was a lot going on underneath the surface. This relationship with this person was difficult. It was stressful. I felt like I was constantly under power and control. Yet it was also helpful because it started to break open some things for me. I decided that I'm going to leave. And I can vividly remember, because it's about that time of year again, May, when I move out of that house, tell my children we're getting divorced and start a whole new life. It was really hard. I thought it was going to be the thing that helped me. I thought it was going to be the thing. I needed my freedom. I needed to be alone. I wanted to be by myself. I also wanted to date. I remember feeling that too. I wanted to meet new people. I wanted to go out. I wanted to drink. Honestly, I wanted to drink the way I wanted to drink, which was balls to the wall, blackout drunk, go out and be a crazy girl at the bars. But being married, couldn't do that. So I kind of was wanting to experience that again. So I move out. I start a new job. I leave my security of 3 years at this clinic where I grew as a therapist from intern to full employee, doing great work. And I leave that too to go work at a hospital that's about to open, Crisis Stabilization Clinic in Wenatchee, Washington. It was called Parkside. I was like number 3 employee hired, only therapist who was going to run this unit. Very fun. very cool. That's where I got to learn how to do program development and build my therapy skills. And so I ended up having a rock bottom moment while I was working there. The clinic wasn't open yet. I was going out and drinking a lot. I was drinking every night. I would put my, vodka in the freezer. Kids would go to bed. I'd go in the kitchen and I'd just take shots of vodka. And I think it was because I was anxious. I was scared. I could, right? Nobody was telling me not to. My kids are sleeping. I'm okay. Nobody knows. And I remember going in the nights I would go out and binge drink when my kids were with their dad. I would go out and binge drink a lot, and I would wake up shaking. I would be trembling. I didn't know what that was at the time, but it was DTs, and I would take Xanax to cover it up to go to work. That was a really rough time, but I didn't think of it as a problem. I thought, this is a phase. I'm going to grow out of it. I just got to get through this divorce. Well, never really got through it. So my mom simultaneously at this time is suffering with pancreatic cancer. She lives in Louisiana. I'm having a hard time because I want to be there for her to help her through all this chemo, but I'm also trying to manage my own life, which was extremely unmanageable back home. So my mom and I are in very close contact. I mean, my mom has been my person my whole life. We have this like soul bond. We've been through really hard times. We're probably trauma bonded, really. And we ended up being able to heal and repair a lot as the years went on. But that woman put me through hell many times over. So she's sick. She's dying. She's not living in the reality of that she is probably going to die. She's thinking, I'm going to get better. I'm going to get better. Meanwhile, I believe chemo was actually killing her. So she comes to visit me in Wenatchee right after I move out. She helps me decorate my place. She's sick as a dog, thin as a bone, rail, no hair. And that when I see her, I realize in that moment, my mom is dying. Oh my God. My worst fear is coming true. As a child, I was so fearful of my mom dying. And now here I am face to face with this situation. My mom's using a cane. She can't really drive. I don't know how the hell she traveled alone from New Orleans to Washington, but she did. And she did it for me, and she did it for my kids. That was the last time my kids saw her. And they had an incredible visit, but it was also very painful because I was going through so much. And those kids were going through so much. My God, their entire world was shaken up when I moved out. So my mom goes back home. I'm doing the thing. I go out and get hammered one night, like bad, make a lot of poor choices, get a lot of bruises and cuts on my body, and just doing things that probably a therapist who's like 31 years old shouldn't be doing, a mom. I decide the next day I'm going to get sober. That's it. A friend of mine at the time told me, I see you going down a really bad road. So I decide, yep, guilt, shame, and remorse got the best of me. I'm going to get sober. I go to a meeting. I decide to call up a friend I knew was in the program, go to a meeting with him. And I sit there broken, shaking, terrified. I listened to some of these stories, but I didn't feel like I related. I thought, oh, that's not me. Oh my goodness, that's not me. Oh, good. I'm not as bad as these people. So I leave. I don't ever go to a meeting again. I remain sober for 4 months, but am I working recovery? No. Am I going to therapy? No. I'm just telling people I'm sober. I start dating, and that's kind of where I took a turn. After 4 months, I started drinking wine again. And it was casual, right? It was on a date. It's casual drinking. No big deal. Next thing you know, 3 months later, right back at it. Getting hammered at the local bars, not remembering how I get home, not even waking up in my own home, and doing wild things. I just kind of continue on that path. April 2019, I get a call from my stepdad. Your mother's in the hospital. You might want to come see her. This might be it. Go down there for a week. And I'm really grasping with the fact that, oh my God, my mom is dying. So we get her into hospice at her house. And her and I have some major heart-to-hearts, and that was the last time I ever saw my mother alive. And I didn't know, but it was really difficult. Meanwhile, this is really hard to share. I'm swiping pills from her, you know, because when you're in hospice, you get morphine, you get Xanax, you get really whatever. I'm taking some of those, I'm taking them home with me, and I'm using pills now at this point to cope with life and just to kind of like let go and have fun. Really difficult times. Anyway, my mother dies June 1st, 2019. I remember that day. I was in Greece. I had embarked on this solo journey, like an eat, pray, love situation. Except for me, it wasn't about meditation. It was about getting loaded and partying my way through Greece. So I'm in Greece. I'm on the island of Ios, and I get a call from my stepdad. He's like, "Your mother's out. She hasn't been awake in a day. She's passing away." So I say, "Okay," put the phone up to her ear. I remember I was in my room with my roommates, and I'm looking out the window at this beautiful coastline. My dream was always to go to Greece, and my mom had told me, "I'm probably gonna not be here when you get back, but I want you to go. I know that's always been something that you wanted to do since you were a kid. You need to go." And so it was hard to make that decision to leave and not be with my mom as she died, but I did. And here I am, June 1st, staring out the window, beautiful golden waters of the Aegean Sea, just in heaven, as I'm talking to my mom on the phone, letting her know it's okay to go now. I'm going to be okay. I'm going to take care of these kids. They're going to be okay too. It's okay to let go. I love you so much. I'll see you on the other side. Then I asked my stepdad to call my ex so my kids can do the same. I wasn't there. I don't know what was said, but I do know after they got off the phone, that's when my mom died. So I truly believe we do hear, we do hang on, and she just needed to know it was okay, Mom. You get to go. You get to rest. You don't have to look after us anymore. Because I know I was a big stress for her a lot of times. So she passes away, and that's the day that killed me. That was the start of rock bottom. It would be 3 years until I would finally surrender to my addiction and go to rehab. They would be 3 years until I made the choice to change my entire life and actually stay alive and fight for myself. So 3 more years go by. And in that time, I am continuing my work. I'm drinking a lot on the weekends. I'm crying about my mom all the time. And I have my best friend with me by my side, Brittany. She was my strength, my person, my everything. And she went through all this with me. We went through really hard times. We went through good times. But I remember her hugging me one night and just telling me it's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. You're going to get through this. And she was right. It would take a long time, but she was right. I meet this guy. It's 2020, and he introduces me to crystal meth. That's the takedown. That's the thing right there. I thought, no big deal. This is going to be just like cocaine. Cocaine I could do and leave. No big deal. Guilt, shame, and remorse always followed, but I wouldn't go back to it until years later or something. It would not be a pattern of doing it every day. So I try meth one night, and I'm thinking, this will be no big deal. Don't go to bed. Guilt, shame, and remorse as soon as I start coming out of it. Tell this person, please never bring that into my life again. Please, please, please. But it just kept reappearing. This person had moved in with me. We're going to call him SK for the sake of hiding his identity. But SK and I entered into like what I truly believe to be a karmic relationship. It was probably the darkest, hardest, worst relationship of my life, but also the most wonderful because it broke me open and allowed me to see the darkness within me and see kind of like what I needed to work on. A lot of times when we have these karmic relationships come back to us, it's a mirror soul. They're mirroring back to you the things that are within you that you might want to consider working on. It was a dark relationship. It was a dangerous relationship. It was a highly abusive relationship on both ends. He nearly killed me several times, and we were just using buddies together, essentially, at some point. I remember dropping a lot of weight. I wouldn't eat. I could hardly drink water. I would get all these sores in my mouth, and I would be up for nights on end. I looked horrible. Dark circles, sunken cheeks, losing a lot, skinny, lost a lot of weight, never eating. And I had to use to function. I tried to get off several times, and I remember it being like 3 days of trying to sleep. But how can you do that when you're trying to work as a therapist, be a mother, and function in life? Talk about unmanageable and talk about insanity of the illness. Thinking too, I'll grow out of this. I'll grow out of this. We're going to have a good life. We're going to, living in the delusion here. We end up breaking up. It comes to an end after many, many spiritual experiences together, many, many shroom trips, LSD times. I will share all my spiritual experience using psilocybin another time, because it's a very incredibly long and wonderful story. So during this time, the last day we ever saw each other, he drove it was insane. We were wasted. He drives me going 60 down a 15-mile-an-hour street, telling me, this is the day you're going to die. You're never going to see your kids again. And then he took my seatbelt off of me. And I remember screaming and pleading, please stop, please stop, please stop. But realizing this was probably how I'm going to die. Didn't die. He pulls over at the last minute. He ends up getting arrested, going to jail for a DUI and assault. Not without beating up my apartment either, leaving it in complete shambles. I'm, on the hook for all these charges that he did to me. But anyway, horrible. I was angry. I was pissed. I spent the last part of 2021 in just insanity, being pissed every day, sad every day, crying all the time. I couldn't escape using drugs. I could do it enough when my kids weren't around, but that was hell, because I was always coming off of something. I would drink to shake the nerves. I would drink to stop thinking about using drugs. It was awful. I'm living alone in this apartment. As the years went on, you could see my life kind of like decline in the state of living. Started out in this beautiful home, go to a cute little rental home. I go into this townhouse. That's pretty cool. It's a nice place. Boom, shit apartment. You can just tell my life is going downhill. But I think at the time, this is what I want. I want to live as a minimalist. I don't care. So that 2021 was awful. I never see SK again. There's a restraining order on him. I'm pressing charges, having to go through that whole domestic violence thing, which is a whole nother story too. And I'm drinking. I'm drinking all the time. I start drinking in the mornings. I start drinking more and more all the time until boom, June 2022, I'm now doing cocaine all the time. I hit rock bottom. I would say this time I was almost hospitalized again. I've been in the hospital several times for suicidal thoughts or just outrageous behavior. My kids are suffering. They don't know if I'm going to be okay that day. They show up to be with me for the week or not. Everybody's starting to see it. I think people didn't really know truly at that time what it was, that I was hiding using meth or coke behind the scenes, but they probably knew I was an alcoholic. I finally came around late June 2022, got on my knees, surrendered, asked my higher power, something out there, whatever the fuck you are, please help me. Please help me. And I got the answer. I got help from my father. He reached out to American Addiction Centers. I get a call and they're like, we can get you a bed in a few days. I'm thinking, okay, this is it. I'm going to go. I'm going to do this. I never believed I could get help like that. I never believed I could actually leave to go get better because I was staying for my kids. I wouldn't let go despite all of us suffering. I just wouldn't. I finally let go. I asked for help and I got help. What happened after that is very interesting. It was a dark, hard time, but it was also a light-hearted time because I finally was able to rest my head and say, yes, I need help. I am unmanageable in my life. I'm absolutely insane. I cannot continue to go like this. I'm going to die. I actually at one point thought, you know what? I'll just be homeless. That's okay. I've not been homeless And I know a lot of people who have, and I commend them for getting out of it and, getting sober too. I was resigning to that though. I was like, you know what? I'm going to give up my apartment. I'm not paying all my bills anyway. I'm going to just live on the streets. At least I'll be in the same town as my kids. I won't leave so they can at least see me. They might see me on the corner and that's how we're going to have our visits, but I'm going to not leave them. That's how bad I didn't want to leave my children. So, July 3rd, I fly to Las Vegas from Wenatchee, Washington, and I go to Desert Hope. This is where the story ends today. Stay tuned for what happened next.